because typically a needle weave bar, we have the two lines that we weave over are stitched into the fabric. But I call this one a needle weave loop because it ends up being loose on the top. So we're gonna come out here, and the height that we want is gonna be somewhere up here. Is that still on the screen? Yes, it is. So sometimes I use a safety pin to do this. Sometimes I actually stitch a loop with another thread, just so that there's something that I can trim out later or remove later that we can do this. Let's go back down under. You need to go around that so that you have your loop. That one's probably not in the right spot. Let's move our loop over because we want it to be thin. So when we get down here to the base, that's where we want it. Now let's lay this where we want it, right up here. And that is where I'm gonna want my thread to go through. Okay, so you wanna be able to have your loop look thin like that up at the top. Then much like a woven picot, remember woven picots have odd numbers of, and you can do this with, that is not really where I wanted to come out. I would have come out right in between. Oh, okay. Can you see it? Yes, okay. Then we just do like a needle weave bar. So the tip I wanted to tell you is that if you are in the middle of this and you run out of thread, I recommend that you plan enough thread that when you start that you don't run out. But if you do run out, there's a couple of different options. Number one, if your needle weave bar is going to be tacked down, just like this one would for the agave, just leave it long enough that you can thread the needle again later, and then you come up from the back in the spot that you're going to lay it down. I have done these and then made them curve so that they kind of had a bend to them. And you just do that by how you tack them in place. Okay, so, and then after you've tacked it in place where you want it, then you go back and rethread that string or the long thread that's coming up and tack it and take it to the back where you want it to. All right, we're just gonna go back and forth until we have this full. Just make sure each time it's laying neatly. So like I said, you can do the same thing with 4 strands wide if you want to have a bigger one. Although at that point, I'm not sure why you wouldn't just do a woven picot. Because in the end, when you pull this off, it's loose, but with a woven picot, because there's an odd number, your thread is at the base, and so the whole thing can flop. With this one, when we get to the end, we'll have the needle up here at the top. So I'll show you what we can do with it after we've got it full. Okay, we have finished winding all the way to the end. Now I used about 1 yard of thread and it made this one, which is, if I put it next to the ruler, it's a little over 2 inches long. I don't think, because when you're finished with this and you pull this pin out, then this whole thing along here, except where you've caught the threads, the fuzz, oops, I pulled my needle out, it is movable. The other option whenever you're doing something woven like this is that you can put a piece of paper, I don't have very much handy here, so we're gonna pretend. You can, after you have your lines going up, you can lay a piece of paper down. That will keep you from tying up anything here or any of the layers underneath. You just make sure that the width of your little piece of paper here is as long as this part is, and then you can go ahead and do that. Okay, now I wanna show you something fun that you can do with this. So now that you've woven it all the way down, and again, my thread got really short, let's spin it and roll it up. Like this. You want to roll it as snugly as you can, and then tip it on its side, like this. Now, again, my thing is short, but if you roll it on its side and tip it like this, and then I would carefully, when you tack it down, you don't want to grab these top edge of the stitches here because you'll tack them down too far. You're going to want to just grab the bottom of it to secure it, and then you can have a little woven rose like that. Let me zoom in so that you can see it. There's your little woven rose. See you next time.